Prince Harry's new series, Heart of Invictus, paints him as the Prince Harry we all know and love, the charitable veteran. But do people care anymore?
We want privacy! We want privacy!
Welcome to Popcorn Palace. I am Andy Signor, and judging by the views of our last video this morning, Steph, I don't think a lot of people do care about Prince Harry anymore, or this show, the Invictus Heart of Invictus Games, whatever it is. I'm excited you're here, though, Steph, because I know you got some opinions on this. You're going to be sharing a lot more over on Steph the Alternate, as she's been watching, researching, and planning to cover it over on her channel, so make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. But Steph, I wanted to get into this because this headline was pretty good. Can this documentary resurrect Brand Sussex, or has the damage already been done? Now, I feel like I don't even need to ask your opinion. Clearly, you have a stance that the damage has already been done. Is that fair to assume?
Very much fair to assume, yeah. The damage is already done at this point.
Now, the only thing I will say about this documentary is that it is the Harry I like. It's the charitable Harry, right? It's the one that's out there talking about his service. And honestly, I know a lot of people knock him for his service, but he does address it in this series in a way, and maybe I'm ignorant on it, but he does sort of explain that, yes, he served. And then, yes, the media agreed to a blackout if they had some sort of information. But then it was, I think, the Drudge Report broke that blackout and reported that he was there, and then within 10 weeks they pulled him out because they knew if they knew he was there fighting, they would go after him harder, and his fellow soldiers would be at higher risk. So he left, and then he talks about as he left and was seeing sort of the curtain was being pulled more and more as he was leaving of what he was protected from. He got more and more frustrated at what the news wasn't covering and all the people he served with and how much they scarred. So it's a good. I think the editing does a good job in using the narrative here of Harry's past, his charitable ways, his veteran status, in ways that I think to people who aren't already critics of him will feel for him, right? We'll say, wow, Harry's doing a good thing. However, at the same time, I got to agree with a lot of the critics out there that are just like, enough with the WAP tour again. It's all you're doing is you're constantly complaining, playing the victim. Here's someone who, I want to play this quick clip of this expert royal biographer, Angela Levin, who just reveals, like, this is ridiculous. He's not only ruined himself, but he's ruined these games because he's made the games all about him versus these brave veterans.
They also are very cross that they're going to use them as publicity for themselves. I mean, they have loved Harry. They've been very good. I've been on one with him, and I've spoke to all the people who started it, and they felt very strongly that he was absolutely right. But now he's turned it more into making him somebody more important than he is now.
I'm just confused here, Angela. Why is Meghan going to be in Germany with Harry, but she's not coming over here? It's not exactly far, is it?
No, but she doesn't like it here. And I think somebody told me that she knows that she's not at all liked here, and so she's keeping away. They said she gets very, very anxious if she's not in control. But of course, she wouldn't be in control there. And so she's just said she's coming later. She's not coming the first day, the Invictus Games. She's coming towards the end. And Harry's going to give a speech right at the end. But, I mean, people in Canada have contacted me to say they're trying to stop the 2025 one because they don't want it anymore with them. They've got to leave them out the way.
But the Invictus Games?
They don't want it because he's ruined it. And
because it's become all about Harry and Meghan.
Because it's become, so taking all the spotlight away from them. I mean, they need that help. They need the spotlight. There's the most extraordinary things that they've managed to do from being very, very badly wounded. I spent time with Harry meeting some of these people, and they felt they had nothing in life, and they felt that Harry had given them. He was very positive. With the cuts that we saw before this last week, he was his own self. He was very upbeat and positive and enthusiastic and encouraging. But actually once Meghan turns up as well, she will take the show because she has to be at the front. She has to be number one.
So that's where this comes from, Steph, and I assume you agree there with Angela that she's got a point, that this is now turned into the Harry and Meghan games instead of the Invictus Games, and with Harry's constant wang during these episodes that you've started to see already, is this going to help the brand, or could this actually do the opposite? What are your thoughts?
Firstly, I had two videos on that, but yeah, it's gonna harm Prince Harry and Meghan Markle because anything that they are attached to now it just garners more negativity, more of a negative spotlight onto what they are actually attached to. I mean, look at the headlines when it comes to the heart of Invictus, Harry again slamming the royal family because they didn't give him enough love and support or whatever, right? Top 6 bombshell things that you're going to learn from the Invictus Games. Like, there's a lot of negative headlines out there already, simply because, let's keep it 100 here, Harry and Meghan are attached to it. If they're not attached to it, then they don't take the spotlight anymore, and it actually goes on to the people that are more deserving of the spotlight, i.e. the wounded veterans that are competing in the first place. I'm not surprised if the rumours are true that the games for Canada 2025, which are the first winter games that the Invictus Games are going to be holding, are looking into trying to get rid of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty damning. That's pretty damning.
Yeah.
I mean, that's sort of the debate. Not only is it helping, but are they going to end up having to separate themselves from this event? It'll be interesting to see how this Netflix special goes, right? Because honestly, it doesn't seem like it's getting a lot of attention. I don't think they can really, Meghan can't be out there promoting it. Harry's got to be careful too, although I don't think Harry's not in SAG and all the union stuff, so he can get away with it more promoting this. And they're going to have the event next week or so, the new one. So promoting the old one, I guess. But there is a lot of pressure, as I talked about in my morning video over on Planet, of like they need this to perform. If this just bombs over on Netflix, it's not going to help at all. Even though I'm sure this was cheaper to produce for Netflix because it was just a documentary crew following along. That's definitely cheaper than a full-on production. There's got to be a pressure on them. And so, yeah, they need this to perform. And instead of this performing well, yeah, we got these experts coming out of the woodwork saying, we don't want them a part of this anymore. They're actually hurting it. And that's crazy that the veterans who need the attention and the spotlight, right, are like, enough, it's not about them. But as we watch this, it is weird. The parts I've seen, he really does use this documentary to once again go. And it's like, look, here's where and this is where I guess we get in a little bit of a rumble. Maybe we won't. Maybe you'll sway me. But it's like, I do feel for him and the loss of his mom. I really do. I want to make that clear. I do have some empathy for him. And I feel like that's clearly messed him up. And I can understand why it messed him up, what she was going through at the time, and then all the stuff he's learning. It clearly messed the dude up. I get it, and I have some empathy. However, the public therapy sessions to me aren't helping anybody, and they don't help his brand at all. And so that's where I struggle of like, he should keep this more private, but he can't. He keeps constantly doing the therapy out loud. And to a point I can understand and appreciate him trying to be honest with himself and the people. But there comes a point where if you just keep complaining about it and complaining about it and complaining about it, it's like, you got to move forward, right? You got to do what the whole Invictus Games is about, is moving forward and being strong, right? Which he's never doing. And he's constantly reminding and bringing people up of his past and his trauma, when the whole point is supposed to be about spotlighting these people who have limbs blown off and can't do anything that they used to do. Harry's got the whole world at his fingertips. It's frustrating, so I can see that. But that's where you stand, I guess. You're frustrated at the WATOR continuing here. Do you have any empathy left for him at all regarding the loss of his mom? Is it just that he keeps complaining about it, or are you just over it completely? What are your thoughts?
The British public will always have empathy with him losing Princess Diana. That's just part of the culture, part of what we will always feel. That is a given. The one of the things that really knocks me off about Heart of Invictus is that it makes it all about him. Like I was saying to you earlier on, like the first 10 minutes of episode 1 is all about Prince Harry. Now, the synopsis on this thing is that it's supposed to be following 6 wounded veterans from across the world on their pathway to the Invictus Games. We don't get to meet them until like 10, 15 minutes into episode 1. At that point, it's all about me, and me. And then even though we then get to meet the 6 wounded veterans that they're following to the path to Invictus, it's only little bits here and there at the beginning. It's mainly Prince Harry, but it ain't the Prince Harry show. The Invictus Games are all about the wounded veterans that come and break through their physical, mental barriers to show people that no matter what your limitations are, you can still win at life. It's not until episode 3, episode 4 that the focus then really gets onto the athletes. But why do we have to wait that long? Why is it constantly the Prince Harry show and to a certain extent the Megsy show up until that point? I mean, there's a scene where they're all sat at a table. You've got Azza, Megsy, and like presumably the executives of the Invictus Games, and they're having like a little bit of a powwow meeting. Now, one thing that I noticed, because I'm Italian, is where people are sat on a table, right? When you're sat at the top of the table, for an Italian culture, that means you're the most important, right? But guess where they're all sat? Harry
You're talking about this clip right here?
Yeah, Harry and Meghan are both sat at the head of the table. Now, I understand Hazard's going to be sat there. He created the thing, right? His brainchild, his idea, he leads it. Fair enough, right? Not fair play. Why is she sat at the head of the table? She
looks so bored and annoyed to be there too.
Yeah, she had nothing to do with the creation of it, the setup of it, or anything like that. This was all created and set up about 2-3 years before they even met. And now she thinks she can strong arm her way in and be like, I'm just as important as Harry. I'm going to sit at the edit table just like Harry in this really important meeting. It's like she has to insert herself to be like the most important person. It's like at the opening ceremony, she gives a little speech. It's like, I'm sorry, but no disrespect. Who are you? You're not a veteran. And you weren't around when Prince Azza was serving on tour. What has she got to do with veterans and the Invictus Games altogether? Why can't she stay out of it and just let this be Hazard's thing?
Yeah, I hear that complaint. I mean, she's being the supportive wife. I think when you really break this down, she's he needs her there, or at least she's made it so they need each other there. As that clip even said, she gets anxious around. I'm sure they're together, and he's just bringing his wife. And I can point. There's like, okay, they're touring. His wife's there. Let's talk about it. But there is a little bit of like, yeah, your wife should also like support your own thing. Like, go do your thing, Harry. I'm gonna go do mine. We'll connect after. How was your day at work? It's like the work that I don't want to call this person out, Steph, but I worked with somebody who literally had to have their wife there within arm reach all the time. It was like an unhealthy level where I was just like, this is an attachment level that I think they both had, that whatever works for them, it's great. But to the rest of the world, we all looked at it and we're like, this is so weirdly, obsessively unhealthy. That's like, you guys need your own things. And I see a lot of that similarity here. You know what I mean? Where it's like, she must be there when she's there and treated the same and she's there. And it's like, you'd think she'd be like, have fun, guys. Nice. I wanted to meet you. I'm going to go keep myself busy. Good luck. Would be what, to me, a normal, healthy, supportive wife would have done. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, hey, I wanted to meet all you guys. So thanks for helping. I'm so excited. Let me know if I can help. Have a great meeting. Thanks. And then she disappears, right? But no, you're right. She's done up. She's got makeup. She had her hair done. She had a place at the head of the table. Whether she insisted or he did it, it still is a very odd look of like, you're right. Shouldn't he be the one leading this, not her? This is his event. So I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. The other thing as well is that you turn around and you say, yeah, it's all right for a wife to support. Fine. Support in the background. Like she presumably did earlier on this year when Spare came out. Because when Spare came out, you didn't hear a peep from her. Nothing publicly. It was all Harry publicly, but not a word from her. But there's a big, massive difference between Spare and Invictus, right? With Spare, big, major backlash, right? Publicly, opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever. She didn't want to be a part of that, so she didn't speak up publicly. Here, though, heart of Invictus, this is veterans, wounded veterans, mind you. It's a much more, let's say, quote, likable project. She thought, it might be a conspiracy theory or whatever, well, let me be attached to this as well in some way, shape or form. So it somehow rubs off on me and improves my polling figures as well and popularity. I really do feel it's come to a point where, sadly, both Harry and Meghan are using the Invictus Games and using the wounded veterans to try and help improve their popularity, their brand Sussex, their PR.
Yeah, it's interesting because we're talking about, will this help will this help the cause and their brand? And it's like they can't help themselves because once again, it seems like it's only going to defer. It's the haters are seeing through it for what it is, and that's not helping. They need to have the brand resurgence, and sure, him doing these charitable things, the Harry that we know and love. It's nicer to see. Like it works on me, Steph, where I see him like this. I'm like, all right, I still got my issues, right? He's still got a lot of therapy he needs to go through, but I'd rather see him do this than write the book and go on the interviews, of course. But I think the critics are going to see right through it even worse. And I think his audience is just losing interest. Even like me, I wouldn't watch this. Even if I'm going to give him a little bit more empathy, I still wouldn't choose to watch it. You know what I mean? So I think they're in a tough spot where the critics are going to see through it and the fans are going to start getting bored and bothered by it as well. And yeah, the bigger surprise here, it does seem like to the Invictus Games want him gone. That's even more telling to me of just kind of shocking how they're out there trying to talk to like get this gone, which is not a good look. So yeah, I think this is not going to be as successful as he hopes. We'll see what's next with Netflix. If you want to see more of a commentary on the series and more, make sure you go subscribe to Steph the Alter Nerd over on YouTube. Get her to 100K, and make sure you subscribe here as well. You know how to do it. Hit that button, hit that bell for alerts as well. Double check it right now. Smash the like button and leave your comments down below. We got some more stuff coming. You're not going to miss it. So hit those subs to both here and to Steph the Alter Nerd, and stay tuned for more coverage across the universe here in the Popcorn Galaxy. Thanks for watching, everybody.